Hello friends, welcome back to Hyperbolas Day 2. Today we're going to look at more writing equations and solving and looking at all the different types of conic sections in their equations since we've pretty much learned them all by now. So first let's look at this graph and try to write the equation. In order to write the equation you need the center, A, and B. Otherwise everything's the same. So let's take a look at A versus B. So I know A is the distance from the center to the vertices. So let me figure out where the center is. So center is -1, 3. Okay, now the distance up here is 2. So A is 2. Now we can't count the distance left or right because we don't know where that imaginary box stops, but we are given the foci, and the foci will give us C. So let's count to the foci, 2, 3, 4. So C is 4. And now we can use this to solve for B. You know what I'm saying? So C squared is A squared plus B squared. So 16 minus 4, B is the square root of 12. I'm going to leave it like that because I know in my formula I'm doing B squared, so that square root will go away. So to write my answer, this is a vertical parabola, hyperbola. So that means y is going to come first. So y, the y value is +3. So I'm going to write -3 squared. And remember, hyperbolas have a minus sign instead of a plus sign. Now let's do sister x. We'll say +1 squared equals 1. Let's work on their denominators. A is 2. 2 squared is 4. B is root 12. The root of 12 squared is just 12. So there we go. Let's look at an equation that's not on the graph. So this one's just going to describe it for us. A vertex is at 4, 0. The foci are at 6, 0 and -6, 0. So looking at this value that's not changing helps us decide vertical or horizontal. Since the y values are staying the same, that means my vertex and my foci are moving left and right, which makes this hyperbola horizontal. Let's find the middle of the foci to figure out the center. 6 plus -6 is 0. 0 divided by 2 is 0. Same thing, 0. So there's my center. Last thing I need to figure out is A and B. A goes from center to vertex. So that we can straight away tell is just 4. Now B, we don't have anything about our conjugate axis or about the box, but we do have the foci, so we can figure out C. So 0 to each of these is obviously 6. That's easy to see. And now we can solve for B. So I'll do 6 squared equals A squared plus B squared. 36 minus 16 is 20, but we're doing the square root because I had B squared. I'll leave it like this because again, in my equation, I'm squaring it. So I have A, I have B, I have my center, I know it's horizontal. I'm ready to rock and roll, sis. So it's horizontal, I'll put sister x first. I'm just gonna write x squared because the center is 0. Minus y squared equals 1. A comes first. 4 squared is 16. B comes next. So the square root goes away. Woohoo! Any questions? All right, moving right along. Number 3. A vertex is at -4, 4. The equation of the asymptote is blah, blah, blah. Okay. There's a lot we can get from this, starting with the center. So these numbers added to x and y will help us figure out our center. So the x value would be -4, the y value would be +1. Now looking from center to vertex, the value that's not changing is the x value. That means my y value is moving up and down, so we have a vertical hyperbola. Okay, so since it's vertical, we're gonna look at our a value, the distance between the center and the vertex. So how do you get from 1 to 4? Oh, that's just 3. Oh my gosh. So now I know this is rise over run, and if this is 3, that means B high is 4. And we have everything we need right here. Let's write the equation. It's vertical, so I'm going to put y first. The y value is 1, so -1. The x value is -4, so +4. Always equals 1. A is 3, so over here it's going to say 9. B is 4, so this is going to say 16. Give yourself a high five. Okay, last thing we're going to look at today, well kind of, is how to identify, given the standard form, whether it's a circle, ellipse, hyperbola, whatever. So here's the standard form for everybody. And whether or not different pieces change tells us which one it is. So we're really going to be primarily looking at a and b, which comes before x squared and y squared. So if a and b are the same number, that means it's a circle. If a and b are different numbers, that means it's an ellipse. For parabola, one of a and b are going to be 0, which means either x squared or y squared is going to be completely missing. If one of them aren't there, it's a parabola. It'll be a hyperbola if one of them is negative, because hyperbola has this minus sign, so we need a minus sign within one of these. I did give you what a semicircle and a line looks like, but those are not going to be our conic sections, so we're not really going to look at those. We'll stick with these 4 right here. So number 5, here's my a and b. They are the same. They're both 1. Therefore, circle. Let's jump down here. Here's a, here's b. They're both there, but they're different. So that's ellipse. Over here, here's a, but where's sister b? She ain't there. So that's parabola. And then here's a, here's b. B is negative, hyperbola. Cake. Okay, the next page is your homework. However, we haven't looked at completing the square for hyperbola, so I'm gonna do a homework problem for you. Say yay! Okay, so I have the standard form. I wanna write it in standard form. I have general form. So I'm going to do the whole completing the square shebang. So I'm gonna put the x's and the y's together. While I do that, I'm going to factor out the GCF. Time out, time out, time out. There is a typo on this, LOL. Make this plus. Okay, cool, now we're ready. So I have x squared, I'm gonna factor out a 25. I'll say x squared, the other x is 100, so that becomes 4. Let's write in my blank. Now the y's, I'm gonna factor out the -4, so I have my minus sign in the middle for doing a hyperbola. Y squared minus, that'll become 6y. Since I factored out a negative, I had to make this a negative because 2 negatives will make the positive. I'm still doing plus blank equals, and if I move this, it becomes -36 plus blank. Okay, so now time to do your divide by 2 and square it. So divide by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. Divide by 2 is 3. 3 squared is 9. Now to look at what's added over here. Now remember, this isn't just 13 because we have these other numbers to factor in. So 25 times 4 is 100. 4 times 9 is 36. And yes, when you do this, you ignore this negative. Don't worry about the negative. So let's keep trucking. I'm gonna factor minus 4 minus 3 squared equals 36's will cancel. I have 100. Okay, let's divide everything by 100 to get that 1 going over there. That's x plus 2 squared over 4 minus y minus 3 squared over, that'll be 25 equals 1. Everything else we already talked about, so go ahead and finish this page for homework. Bye!